So welcome to the Node.js Next 10 meeting for April 27th, 2022. We only have a few people here today and a fairly short agenda, but I think it's worth running through just for a quick update. And so we'll go from there. Here's the link to the minutes if people want to add themselves into the people who are present, which would be great. I'm just going to do that for myself while we speak. Okay, so any announcements before we get started with the agenda? Okay, if there's no announcements, let's go to the first issue. The first issue is OpenJS Summit World 2022. That's where we discussed that it would be good to have some sessions during the Collaborator Summit. We did in past meetings talk a little bit about what those might look like. I have submitted two. One which was our sort of mini summit ones, which were like deep dives on ESM and observability. And then the other one was for the sort of, track level, just where I'm imagining like previous Collaborator Summits, there's sort of like a common track where everybody, is there before we do the breakout. So if there is one of those, we also submitted one to be like, hey, a little bit of an update on the progress on this effort and so forth. So those two are number 316 and number 315. We'd also talked about maybe doing a follow-up on HTTP in terms of, we've done a deep dive. I did mention that to Matteo, and he's gone ahead and submitted one on that. So I think that's good. And I'm just looking to see, right. So I think we've got our submissions in terms of, if we get those three in the Collaborator Summit, we'll have a fairly good amount of time to talk about Next 10 and to get visibility, which is great. I think, Jean, you mentioned maybe we should plan to work on what we want to talk about.
Yep.
It is getting time, I would agree.
Yeah, because basically, I didn't know that Matteo was submitted something about HTTP, but that's really great because even now with the release of Node 18 and HTTP and the new fetch method and everything, I think we will have a lot to discuss about that and at least have some feedback from the user base, which is great to have. And because also it was a long request to add fetch or compliant fetch for the past at least 5 years, I think, maybe more. It will be great to have time to discuss about that. So that's really great. And yeah, also on the two other parts. So for the other part, I didn't have, I think, a lot of topic we want to suggest, but maybe have some, I think, driving point we want to discuss together. At least we won't have to search and to find something we want to discuss.
Yeah, I think like the mini summit, the ESM and observability, we can just follow the same pattern as we've had for the previous one. So I think that one I'd have a pretty easy time, putting together the agenda. The sort of track level one, I think we do want to put together agenda. I hadn't done anything yet because I was kind of waiting to see if it gets accepted. So I don't know, and sorry, Tierney, I'm trying to promote you. Oh, there we go. So it should be promoted.
Hello.
So I don't know, like, we could brainstorm that a little bit now, or, I don't know. It's maybe, not sure, Joe, you've heard anything either, but like, I don't know what the timeline is for like accepting the sessions and whether we'd have time once we hear that, there is one or not to plan out the agenda.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think they have a lot set aside for Node. So, I think we should just try to move forward and assume that things will work out.
Okay.
But as things take shape, we can talk to them more directly about it.
Right. Okay. So we could spend a little bit. I mean, I think we could actually in probably 5 minutes kind of put together the top level. So I think everybody should see my
Yep.
screen there. So like the track level of agenda, like I think we'd need like a short intro because this is meant for, a broader audience, right?
Yep.
Short intro on work so far.
Yeah, it can be the short intro can be used to people just being there that day to just look at in what sessions they want to jump in.
Right. Technical priorities, I think would be a good thing to, past mini summits. Then, I could see us doing like, longer sessions planned. And then the question is like, is this an opportunity? So I think the track level session was like, okay, the goal in my mind at least is like, let's get some broader visibility, encourage people to come. And that might be covered by like, hey, what's, the short intro to what we've already done, this longer sessions plan. The other thing that could be useful there is some broader input, right?
Yep.
So like maybe like it's the, technical priorities, from the things that we have, what would be useful to have in that section and maybe get like, do people say these still look like the right technical priorities, or are there other ones that people think would make sense? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I think if we split it, but because we will have a big subject about ESM, I think.
Yeah.
With, let's say, first part, the always recurring talk and discussion about should we move and enforce ESM or not, or what's the target for that. I think it's a quite important issue to try to address. And I think someone was talking about that, maybe James was talking about that on Twitter the other day. I saw some thread about that, so.
But I think that would make sense in the ESM track itself, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right, like we're gonna have, the goal is I think like 2 hours on ESM and 2 hours on observability.
Yes.
And then this track level agenda is like maybe 30 minutes, right? For everybody.
It would be better, yeah.
So I'm just thinking on that one, like, part of it is like, yeah, it's a broader audience. Let's bring everybody up to date. I think we can give a sort of a whirlwind tour of, how we went through the constituencies, what they needed, and ended up with the technical priorities. The mini summits we're doing to dive into those.
Yeah, also, and should we also try to maybe present a new form for the people to answer what will be the next priorities I want us to work on, because I think the last one was done in almost 1.5 years ago, something like that. I don't remember the exact
right. So this done, revalidation of the technical
yes.
priorities, right? Like I think that might be good to spend the rest of the time to say, okay, we did this pass through the technical priorities. We've got the bigger group here. Let's do that brainstorming session. It may be a bit harder with the larger group, but it can be like, how many people agree these are still the right priorities? Put your hands up, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Like maybe it's like, missing priorities. And like we can ask.
Yeah, missing priorities or just review priorities.
Yeah, I think it would be good. Like, so it's like, okay, put slide up with existing ones, right?
Yeah.
And then we can ask for missing, no longer. Right. And at the end of that, in theory, that might be like 15 minutes, or we can't do a lot, but we could at least get that conversation started, right?
Yep.
And if in there, it's like everybody just says, oh yeah, those are still the top most priority important things, maybe that's good. If it starts a whole conversation, then we know that that's something to focus on, like a revalidation some other time.
Yeah. And at least if, I don't know when it will be, but it also allows people to talk about new topic outside of planned track or session.
Yep. Okay. So I think that would probably be enough to fill up the time, whatever time we get for that.
Yeah, I think it's a good start, and we will see if because I'm pretty sure that even if we try to block 15 minutes, we will have, in one case, no one will be saying about anything, so it will be done in 2 minutes, or we will have a lot of people trying to.
Right. Yes.
So yes, so I think we will try to stay with that plan, and we'll see how it went.
Yeah, and then we can adapt. I think like in a short thing like that, and again, where it shouldn't be such a huge group. Like I'm hoping we can get some interaction and. So we can play it by ear if it does turn out to be like, no, everybody says, nope, those are still the perfect ones, right?
Yeah, true, but it will really depend on the size, because when we were in Montreal, I think we had some group with 20 to 30 people sometimes.
Yeah.
So it also depends on what will be the other session at the same time.
Yeah, this one in particular was meant to be like the common track, so everybody.
Yeah.
So. But we'll see. And it depends how the track plans out. But I think this is a good plan in terms of contents. Okay. Anything else we should talk about on that agenda item before we move forward?
Seems good to me.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing then. Okay. The next one is create communications channel to JS newsletters periodicals. Joe, you want to update on that one?
Yeah, sure. I think the status is that we had a PR opened up that we merged yesterday, and it outlines the process to engage with the marketing team and the comms team in the OpenJS Foundation. They basically have said they're pretty busy through April, but I think we have a system in place so we can start to, the end of April is pretty much here, so we can start to take advantage of that. I think, one next step might be to figure out how to socialize that pathway. So that could still be done, but I think the system's in place.
Yep. Okay, great. Here, I'm just pasting in the link. Anybody wants to go read that, it'll be in the minutes.
Great. I was going to look that up.
So I didn't paste the PR in, but I PR'd I put the link to the landed text.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Now I've undone that. Okay.
And
there we go.
I was just thinking about that, how it will work. Which people will be here to provide, let's say, article, blog post, and stuff like that?
I think it's like the model is there'll be a repo, and like Joe says, we need to socialize this so collaborators know that they can provide these things. But the expectation is if there's like a piece of news that somebody wants to get out there, the expectation is that they'll help provide whatever information is needed, like whether it's a paragraph that says like, here's the thing to feed to the periodical. Whoever is saying, hey, we should do this has to also provide enough information or answer questions to make it happen. Makes sense?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. Of course.
And like, if you read through that and there's any questions that you have, or like you think there's more clarification, just PR something in that said that adds that clarification, right? Like,
okay, great. I will check that.
Because I think Joe and I have read through it and we're like, okay, this seems clear to us, but that once you write something, then it's hard to see the flaws. So if you do see some stuff, just PR it in, and that's the way.
Yeah, because now now that you are talking about it, I remember reading at least a part of it where you talked about a repo and you pair inside it. And I wasn't remembering that, so but I will check again. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Then the next issue is suitable types mini summit deep dive next steps. Thanks Tierney for making it. I know it sounds like you're challenged right now, so it's great.
Yes.
The one step that I know this is sort of the next thing that we're actively working on, that was updating the docs. So you want to give us an update on that?
Yeah, I finished up reviewing that with Trot. I've commented kind of the next steps in the issue. Specifically, the advice I got from Trot was pinging the TSC with a specific proposal. I've documented that proposal. I can link it here. It's now a little bit hidden just because there's been a few things after it. But that specific issue comment is the one that should be reviewed. I can update the main thing with it as well, actually. But yeah, basically issue proposal, or the proposal is adopt the structure and begin implementing it doc by doc. I don't think wholesale implementation is going to be the best approach forward.
Nope.
So just start going through and doing it doc by doc, fixing docs parser if it's needed where it comes up, and kind of doing that slowly. The other thing there is Electron is very open to having that the changes feature built in. They've wanted the feature we have for some time and just haven't had time themselves to implement it. So that's a good way for us to kind of, there is a path forward on that too. Whether that's helping them parse our thing, or which I don't think quite fits in with the ideology of docs parser, but helping them parse our thing, or implementing a way to parse it and then doing a transform of our thing to whatever that implementation is, as I think you and I discussed at one point, Michael.
Right.
And I think that is a better way for us to reduce the burden on releasers and not have to have them be doing different things for different releases for now.
Right. So in this, is this PR ready to land?
Yes, this can be merged.
Okay. Because I think I had the one comment that was like, hey, there's an accidentally deleted line.
Yeah, so I committed, I believe I committed that. Re-add change from, yes, I fixed that.
Okay. So basically I'm gonna, because other than that, I think I was good. So I'm gonna approve it.
Okay.
And then I don't know if Rich said he was happy to approve it as well.
I think he removed his block. I don't know if he said he said he was fine with it. Okay. I can ping him to ask for approval if that is helpful. But yeah,
it would be like, as soon as there's two, especially since he's so active on the docs, I'd be pretty comfortable that once he approves it, it's been open a long time. Nobody else has been saying, hey, don't do this. So actually the suggestion in terms of the pinging the TSC approval, what I actually think might make sense there is to open a PR to make this a strategic initiative that says, here's the approach of what we're going to do. We're going to do it doc by doc, what you have in that comment, and that'll have it, on the TSC agenda as a, as something that's got visibility, and we can sort of talk about progress or non-progress.
And would that be a strategic initiative in the TSC repo?
Yeah, because the strategic initiatives are now actually documented in the Node repo.
Oh, cool, perfect.
But
I will do that.
Yeah, so if you want to do that, I was going to say I'd volunteer to create one, but and I think what I'd say is put yourself as the champion.
Yep.
Typically they've been TSC members, but I really don't think we wanted to limit to that. So I think that would be it'd be a good way to push the discussion to say okay, do we need to have a co-champion in the TSC or not? If not, I think that's great. Like maybe we can just agree like, hey, we should just relax that. Otherwise, like we'll find somebody like me maybe to be the co-champion, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if you
that
put
totally
yourself
works.
in as the champion and ideally there's like a link to just that one paragraph or two that outlines the proposal. I think that's a good way to, yeah, we get TSC feedback because people can say, yeah, that makes sense or not. And then we actually have it documented and keep track of what's going on there.
Cool. Sounds good.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks.
I
sorry, go
do
ahead.
just want to say I will probably get to that in the next couple weeks. I don't know if I'll get to it in the next couple days. So
Sure.
like either next week or the week after, probably.
Okay. I'm gonna say tyranny submit check what should I next. Okay. And if you could ping Rich sooner than later, that would be great because it would be nice to just get that landed.
Yeah, I'm pinging him right now.
Okay, good. Okay, I'm just taking some okay. So that's good. I not on the agenda, but I'm just trying to think other initiatives. I don't think I have any updates. And that does take us to the end of our agenda. Is there anything else we should talk about this week?
Our feelings.
Just
kidding.
Sure.
So,
What would you like to share, Joe?
I'm just kidding.
I know. Okay, well, thanks for everybody's time, and we'll see you again in a couple weeks. I guess I may try and I haven't had a lot of time lately, unfortunately, but we can think about like if there's anything else besides prepping for the OpenJS world. I think that actually maybe is a good thing to focus on the next mini summits and stuff. But if there is anything, open an issue, tag it with the agenda, and it'll show up for the agenda next time.
Sounds good.
Sounds
Okay.
great.
Thanks. Talk to everybody later.
Thanks,
Cheers.
bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks, Phil.